Yeah, 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 yeah. I used to love it when the snow melt. That meant spring here, eyesight clean, yeah. Hype for it each year. Highlight rails got me amped to bust a few. No moves on the adjustable. Sometimes I hang on it like it was the block. Sometimes I pull it back, time I hide. There was nothing like my hoop if you were on my block. It was the hot spot, everyone would shoot their shot. Dribble on the lawn but never lost my handle. Took so many shots you would think I'm Rambo. Never running out of ammo. Take the young bucks, make them an example. One on one like Jordan B. Bird. What you know about bump from the court to the curb? Used to bang in the paint, you would think it would hurt. But it just made us tougher than dirt. Each time I swerved to the place I was raised, that old hoop still hangs, though it's seen better days. Lil' Russ, but trusted, we'll never paid. And when we done, we sip lemonade. Old hoop in the driveway. Ayy, ayy, ayy. The whole hoop in the driveway. Ay, ay, ay. We used to shoot our shot when the block was hot. And when we get started, never stop. Even though the time will fly.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're so happy that we've had these amazing sessions so far. And I am so grateful to be able to introduce our next session, which is going to be a really riveting conversation about the future of the office and how virtual and in person is going to play out in the future. So, going to be a really interesting conversation. So I'd like to introduce our moderator, Jenny Okonkwo, who's the founder of the the Black Females Accountants Network, and the experts that will discuss the future of virtual versus office. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lee, for that introduction. So very excited to be here. Hi, everyone. This is going to be a riveting session. We've got 4 amazing speakers. I'm going to take it from the top. So Unstoppable Tracy Schmidt, who is an international speaker, coach, best-selling author, TV and podcast host, and a decorated athlete. Next on my list is Paul McIntyre Royston, who also goes as PMR. He's the CEO of Grand River Hospital Foundation. Next, we have Coco Galore, who is the artistic and managing director of Bad Dog Theatre. And then we have Christy Herald, who is the founder and CEO of Jam and Sport and Social Group. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Great to be here.
Hi, everyone. Everyone's resume is so stacked.
Absolutely. So this is honestly a fantastic lineup, and I'm sure it's going to be a riveting conversation. So I'm going to start with Christy. So Christy, you've spent 25 years building a business based on connecting people through play. And you also speak about the importance of healthy organizational culture for success in business. Couldn't agree with that more. If you're working in an environment that is not psychologically safe, your whole well-being is affected, which of course impacts performance. So in your view, how does play help organizational culture, and how will people play now that we're all working virtually?
So great questions. And yes, I think I can speak to this after 25 years of building the Sport and Social Group into what is one of the largest adult sports leagues in the world. We've connected over 1.5 million adults through the playing of team sports. And so we've learned a lot, and studies have proven, and I've done talks around the world on both organizational culture as well as the power of play. Mayo Clinic studies have proven that playing team sports is actually 20% better for your mental health than just going to the gym because of the social connection we get when we play. So when we consider the fact that in this past 12 months, no adult team sports has been allowed whatsoever. My operations have completely shut down. We have pivoted to offering play through virtual events, which is what JAM is. We've created a new organization. We've now connected over 50,000 people all around the world, connecting corporate teams through playing of events like bingo, trivia, escape rooms, scavenger hunts, survey says, all sorts of fun game show type events. We've hired a bunch of out of work actors and comedians to be our hosts, and we're engaging corporate teams through play. And the brilliant aspect of this is that play is incredibly powerful and it's often overlooked. What happens when we play, we stimulate creativity, we boost energy, and we end up forming stronger bonds with the people that we play with, which is why the Mayo Clinic study has proven that when you play team sports, it's better for your mental health. Same thing applies whether you're playing trivia or musical name that tune bingo or doing an escape room with your colleagues at work, you're forming stronger bonds. And so further to that, other studies have proven that employees who are happier in the workplace and have close friends within the workplace are 13 to 20% more productive than their peers who don't have friends within the workplace. So given that, it's safe to say investing a little time in play within the workplace is critical. It's good for your mental health of your team, but it's also going to be good for the bottom line. I don't think it's a coincidence that play starts with the letters P and L. And not to mention, it's just plain fun to make time for a lunch and laugh every so often. We all tend to make time for lunch and learns. It's important that we make time for lunch and laughs because it's going to help our overall organizational culture to do so. And in the virtual workplace, more than ever, it's going to be critical to make time for that. And that's exactly what organizations like ours have been created to do.
That sounds phenomenal. I hadn't heard of your company and that product, but for sure, I'm going to be finding out more about it. Running a volunteer-led network of 1,500 members across Canada and looking for creative ways to increase member engagement, particularly those of us who are actually on the volunteer team. So I love it. I think that's totally amazing. Does anyone else have anything to add in terms of the value of play within organizations? Tracy, would you like to add a comment to that?
Well, as somebody that was a skier, sailor, scuba diver, recreation degree, and someone in organizational development at Air Canada and Shoppers, I highly advocate play. And that you say lunch and play, which I loved, and you can turn it into a lunch and learn when you debrief the play afterwards on how those fun team dynamics influence your work world.
Really liked Christy's play on words about P&L. So as you can imagine, my background as a CPA, that's going to resonate. So let's move to another question. So let's move to Coco. So Coco, you've moved your platform online, and for me to even get my head around that, I'm thinking, Bad Dog Theatre, very in-person experience. As someone who loves theatre and loves live performances, so how has that been for you? And what are some of the positives that you've experienced from moving your platform online?
Yeah, so just thinking about what it meant for us to move online. I think when the theaters were shut down, it was so heartbreaking for us because in-person experience and that kind of like chemistry that we have in person is so important to improv and live theater. So when we moved it online, it was challenging at first because of accessibility to high-speed internet, of course. But one of the great things that it kind of did was it connected us during this pandemic. So through this pandemic, and to speak to a little bit about play, is when we improvise, we say, hey, we're going to play tonight. So that's actually our language as well. So while we're all individually stuck at home as comedians, to be able to connect with each other and our audiences through the online platform has been really kind of important. We still hold classes to be able to provide this as a service as well. And one of the great things that has happened is, despite the fact that there is there are people who cannot access because of the high speed internet. There are others who are now able to access, because when we were in person, we had stairs, so our physical location wasn't accessible. So being able to be online means that people can watch when they want based on their own kind of life schedule. Especially with the pandemic, it's hitting a lot of people, a lot of people's mental health. So they might not be able to watch at 9 p.m. Maybe they want to watch at 2 a.m. So having that, being able to turn on closed captions on YouTube has been really important. And yeah, so just, and also being able to network globally. So that has been really cool.
So exactly, have you found that your platform has just expanded in terms of, your customer base, going, across boundary, global boundaries? Have you found that?
I mean, yes and no. No, because we're competing with Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because of
Yes.
that, like that part is challenging, because now we're virtual, which means we're competing with like people who have a lot of money, like NBC and Hulu, and okay, let me not give them all out so that you guys are not switching over to them, but but we're competing with those people now, and that's the challenge of it. But for the people who love improv, who have not been able to access our theater, now they can access our theater, and that's very beautiful to us.
But no, that's fantastic, particularly from an inclusion standpoint. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that
Absolutely.
answer. That's awesome. So, Paul, coming to you, so you've made a permanent conversion from a very traditional organization to digital first, which we've heard from, some big well-known companies like, Shopify, that have said, they're not going back to bricks and mortar, and several others. So, what were the key learnings from this process, and what was the journey like for you in taking those steps? Like, what were the major steps to get there?
Yeah, thanks for asking. For us, it really was a bit of a necessity. So we're a 15-person foundation working inside a 4,000 person hospital system, and they were needing more space, frankly. And we decided, all right, we're going to make the shift. So we stopped using their IT system, which was designed for a big hospital. We brought on Chromebooks for everybody, really simple system. We started using a whole bunch of different online platforms, and really the key learning in that aspect was the iteration of it. We would try something out, see how it worked for everybody, nurtured that opportunity, provided some training. And the other side of it was, and I'm a big believer in enabling everyone to do the best work of their life. And not everyone can do that in the same environment. You need to find those touch points, the nurturing that you can have in various aspects of your work to enable that. And so it was having people, we dropped any notion of formal hours while restricting it. Listen, we only want you working the 37 and a half hours a week. And so it was, teaching people how to use schedule send on Gmail, simple things that allow that kind of collaboration. We use a great product called Miro Board for brainstorming, because some products work for some things and others don't. And it really was that dynamic. And so for now, we've dumped our offices. They're over at the hospital. We are going to create a hub for donors in the community and a bit of a studio space for hospital staff. But other than that, it's been remarkable. Because truly, I would say our team, double, triple, maybe even quadruple efficiency in terms of what they're able to get done and achieve, and they feel good about it. And, go back to the play comment, we've also enabled things like that. There's a great product called Slides with Friends, which we try to do that every week as a group, and trying to do that. And it's been hard too. There's definitely been, trying to get the dynamic right in team meetings and all those other aspects you try to do. What we did before doesn't work in the same way. And so we need to do things that help people through that process and listen. The key here is just listen to your team, listen to your colleagues. They know what they need, and they'll help you find that path.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And coming to you now, Tracy. So, or should I say, Unstoppable Tracy. So you were in like 20 countries in 2019 alone, 20 cities in 2020 before March and before, the flights shut down in Canada. And, despite having that interruption in your business flow, you still were just awarded a 2021 Top Inspirational Leader. Congratulations, by an international top professionals organization. So with the massive shift over the last 12 months, what have you personally observed in the speaking world that has facilitated, transitioning successfully from being a live, warm body on stage to now addressing however many people, via a screen, laptop, computer monitor? How has that been for you?
Literally the day they announced the flight shutdowns, I was in British Columbia, and in 24 hours, I had 24 stages cancel. And it was really slow, summer and early fall. But now life is taking off exponentially in the speaking world. And I think what happened is people started to think, well, we're online. It doesn't matter. We can just get, in-house our VP to be the speaker at this workaround event or meeting. And what it's turned out to be is we actually needed to be more engaging and more animated and more play like Christy, and more impromptu entertainment, engaging, spontaneous with Coco, and interactive in all of our worlds with our fabulous other, with Paul McIntyre up there, that they need more professional speakers. And so what I've noticed is, at first, everybody thought they could do it themselves online. And they're busy also trying to thrive their own business and reinvent their own business. And now they realize the importance of, let's engage the professionals, like the play professional and the improv professional and the hospital professional that figured out, and the speaker professional that can really engage online, which is a completely different kettle of fish. And people are starting to realize that now. It's really come around.
Fantastic.
Maybe out of desperation.
And Christy, yes, please jump in with your perspective on the, DIY approach versus getting in, a professional.
Yeah.
I did want to, hearing what Tracy just said there, I wanted to chime in and agree with the fact that, a lot of people, we often hear, well, we do these things ourselves with our team. And so what ends up happening is you have a group of employees who are the social committee, or you've got the HR department that it always falls on them to plan the fun social events. So they end up spending probably an inordinate amount of time planning something that is pretty darn good, but they've spent a lot of company time doing it, and then they are the organizer. They don't get to just, 2 or 3 of them have to be the organizers of the event and don't get to sit back and relax and enjoy the play aspect of the event. And so that's something we're finding a lot of organizations that are loving about a service like Jam. And our website, just for those who are interested, is workplayjam.com. But what people are loving is it gets rid of the do-it-yourself. We have professional actors, comedians who need the work. So it's a lovely kind of full circle in that sense, providing an opportunity for them to have employment. They are so engaging, and everyone in the group gets to enjoy and play together, and they haven't tried to put together something themselves when really they have all this other really important work to be doing. So I just wanted to sort of chime in to Tracy's point on how important it is sometimes, and it can be done super affordably. Like our events are not overly pricey at all, because you're not having to get people on an airplane. You're not booking business class tickets to get people all in one place. You can be connecting people from New York, LA, London, all on one lunch and laugh escape room, and for an hour. It's very affordable, and it allows everyone to engage with each other and connect with each other in a fun, playful way.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And we have a question from the audience. We have a question from Farzad, and he's complimenting the background of everyone on the panel and the moderator. Thank you, Farzad. We'll take that. And he's got a question here, I think following up from what Paul has said. What specific tactics have you used, Paul, to quadruple team productivity in a virtual environment?
Yeah, happy to expand on that. So one of our first moves was actually hiring someone who we called the Donor Innovation Director. And he's brought him in, and his sole goal was to make himself completely redundant within a year and automate and provide input on different ways of doing things. So we had the luxury of at least doing that. We had some room in our team. But the key, what he's brought in particular, we started using Confluence by Atlassian, which is a productivity tool. It's a bit Slack, Wiki, and then a little bit of others. And we've actually since migrated about 2 months later to another tool called Notion. And some of you may know Notion. It's really a great tool because it allows a remembering basically of everything you've ever done. So every meeting we ever have between more than one person, hard to have a meeting with yourself, we actually record that in the Notion notes on that topic or on that project. It also has the potential, we used to use Airtable, we now do it in Notion, to have database records on all those things as well. And so there's one great document I'll reference as well, just to finish off. It's from GitLab, and it's the ebook remote playbook, and it has been fantastic for us. And their number one thing is document everything, and that's how you build a culture. People don't forget, then they hold accountable, and you inspire and you build that trust in your team.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul, for that. And we have another comment from the audience, comment from Rob. We've had a few Jam experiences with our team at work. Having the professional facilitation helped everyone get into it and feel taken care of. It's great fun. There you go, Crystal. How wonderful to be endorsed while you're speaking live.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
I was just laughing because we just did when Paul was talking about GitLab's great product, we did a big event for GitLab last week. Actually, we got their whole team laughing and connecting through fun.
Well, and they're the largest remote company in the world, I believe. I think it's like 2,500 employees across the globe.
Yeah, and they loved it. They had so much fun with us. It was great.
Amazing. And funnily enough, that kind of leads us into our next question for Christy, which is, so in your view, Christy, what would be the top 3 to 5 things that you would recommend business leaders do in order to help drive productivity as we delve deeper into our virtual working world? And are you implementing any of these with your own team?
So in terms of, yeah, I'm a big believer in healthy organizational culture, and I have my sort of top 10 list that I speak to often. In terms of top 3 to 5 things for productivity and helping with connection in the office as we move to a virtual world, I would say first and foremost, having a purpose, vision, and values very clearly defined and very shared. As an example, we just did our vision. We always do a 3-year vision. I had done a vision for 2022 at the end of 2019. I shared it with my whole team. That's been sidetracked. It's been derailed because our sport and social group business has been completely shut down for the last 12 months. So recently, I recreated a new vision of where we're going to be by the end of 2023. And it's now incorporating this new business of Jam as well as the sport and social group. And I made a point of sharing it first with my entire full-time team. I got their feedback. They poked some holes in it. They offered great feedback. And then I shared it with actually my entire part-time team, our 30 or 40 part-time Jam hosts. I shared it with them. And it was amazing how the feedback was so receptive because it made people feel engaged and empowered to grow with our organization. So now our entire team is clear. We have 6 very clear core values. They know our purpose, which is to keep people playing, connecting people through play is our purpose. And they know our vision. So those for sure. And then the other 2 things I would say that it can be really powerful in terms of keeping people connected and engaging with productivity. It's all about connection, in my opinion, and healthy social connections. We run a book club every 2 months, and it's very easy to do. We used to do it in person. It's very easy to do it virtually. So we choose a book. It's a democratic process. We have a vote. Whatever book gets chosen, we order the books for everyone and get them shipped out. We all read the book, and then we have a healthy discussion one morning, or we're doing it over lunch now. And then the last item would simply be laughing and playing. I mean, it sort of speaks to what I do, but I'm a big believer, and it's super important to make time for lunch and laugh. And it doesn't need to be a planned, paid for event. Yesterday, we have it in our calendar every Wednesday. We used to all sit and eat lunch together in our office. Now we're doing it on Wednesdays, and it's optional, but we just sit and over the Zoom screen, we eat lunch together, and we just connect and have friendly conversations. It's not difficult. It doesn't need to be expensive. None of those things are expensive to do, and they all are incredibly powerful and engaging and empowering for your team.
Thank you very much for that, Christy. I'm going to come over to you, Coco. So having moved your whole business online, how do you see the future of Bad Dog Theatre? Do you see it being some sort of hybrid model? Are you seeing enough of a trend or enough of a potential to keep it fully virtual? So similar to, I guess, the route Paul has gone with his organization, or do you think it's going to be some sort of hybrid model, or do you think when, we are out of this season that you would go back to that, in-person lived experience of theatre going? Like, what's your take at the moment based on what you're seeing?
Yeah, so I think that we are going to keep we're going to start a hybrid model. So the thing is, when we built our virtual platform, part of it was we wanted to immediately have something to do because all the physical theaters were shut down. But the other part was I personally felt like it spoke to our previous kind of like unwillingness to actually be inclusive, because for all the people that we said could not come up the stairs, we were unwilling to look for a solution until it was no longer accessible to us who could go up the stairs. So now that we've expanded that, I don't think we should go back. I think we should even go further and continue exploring what a hybrid model of digital shows as well as in-person experience, hopefully having an accessible space in the future. What can those things do so that we can continue expanding and including people who are left out of the entertainment conversation, and very specifically comedy?
That's an awesome point you made, particularly, that's got such a powerful diversity and inclusion lens to it, because, I think many organizations, when they're developing their D&I strategies, it really is difficult sometimes when you haven't had that lived experience to understand, what it's like and perhaps why things need to change. So it's interesting that through this season, some of those experiences have emerged where people are thinking creatively, thinking differently. And like you said, essentially what Bad Dog Theatre is trying to do is really build and foster a more inclusive environment. So that's really interesting. And a question from the audience: is Bad Dog Theatre engaging youth, teens in brackets, in online programs? If so, how is it going for that group?
So we haven't started youth programming because what we found was parents, like kids were online so long for regular school that parents didn't really want their kids to continue being online after school. So this is something that I think we have to survey and observe, especially the longer we are in lockdown. I think the more we do have to have a platform for youth to rejoin the improv culture. I was going to say cult, but I meant culture.
Okay, fantastic. And Tracy, so a question for you. I guess, our listeners are great leaders to drive their inner power for reinvention to virtual. But it's tough. Sometimes it's exhausting. And one of the things that you do in your business is help disarm limiting beliefs, and supporting how you conquer the impossible. So this virtual reinvention, in your view, how do we begin to tackle that?
I think a lot of us are feeling uncertain. Like, how do we get an online youth program when they're online all day? Or how do we totally flip a business from office to online all the time? And it's that exceeding uncertainty, right? And feeling uncertain not letting that stop us. I know when I started sailing, I'm a 4-way amputee, I'm missing my legs, and I kept falling out of the boat. And I knew the parts of the boat and I knew the points of sail, but I couldn't stay in the boat. And everybody passed. They all got their white sail level 1, and I failed. Because it turns out you got to be able to stay in the boat to get the level. And so some of us feel like we're falling out of the boat and we're struggling and we're not mastering this new virtual world as fast as we'd hoped. But you know, the next summer, I just kept climbing back in that boat. And some of you know, I'm a World Cup sailor, right? I sail against 27 able-bodied men in an Olympic class regatta on top of the Paralympic trials, right? 136 able-bodied regattas, but I'm the girl that failed. And so I can't begin to imagine what people are facing right now. There's tough relationships and tough news and bankruptcy and struggling with their jobs and reinvention and juggling family and work and elder care and child care. Like, so much is going on in our lives. So when we say no excuses, it's pretty deep, tough love, because there's such real reasons going on. But I know that I have every reason that no one would judge me for not being a skydiver or a climber or a sailor, or, you know, busting up pilot strikes at Air Canada or busting Uber into Canada in my organizational life. But when I live a life of no excuses, I get to live a life of no limits. So some tough love with understanding. No excuses is tough, but no excuses means no limits. Exceed uncertainty. Feeling uncertain is no excuse for inaction. Keep climbing back in that boat. You can do it.
That's awesome. And I think that is such a wonderful, energizing uplift to end on. So thank you all very much. It's been a riveting conversation. I've learned so much. I'm going to be connecting with all of you because there were so many things that were mentioned, you know, links and resources and everything else. So and I wasn't taking notes. So thank you all very much. It's been great, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Hi, everyone. What a great session that was. Jenny, I have to say, I'm in love with your voice, and I hope that you start a podcast. So we'll share some podcasting resources. So next up, we're going to be going back to the breakout rooms, and we're going to be discussing some of the concepts that have come up about like the future of work and also, you know, what we have going on and what opportunities could come out of this. So if everyone can go to their the breakout tab and choose a breakout, and we'll be breaking into even smaller groups to have some really riveting conversations. Thanks to all of our panelists and to Jenny for a fantastic job.
Dio Gibson, Generation.
Cause I just touched down and I'm thinking about next. About to run it back and be up in the air. Bring the corner back, get the sack. Oh yeah, it's all fair when you're leaving on the field. Game got a new face like the $10 bill. I got no chill, that's how the game made me. Had to take over, industry shady. Chances were slim but the eyes never scared me. Only made me want it more, only prepare me. I listen to them all but I never hear you. If you spend too much time talking in the rear view, I'm talking about plans in the next trip to France. Ain't it nice to be a niece, eating pasta with clams? It's been a cold winter so we like to hibernate, but the sun coming out and I can't